I was in basic training at Fort Knox.
I was at home. We lived in Farmington.
The morning of the explosion, I was in my office. I was at work.
The night of the explosion, I stayed all night with my buddy.
I got a phone call about 6:30, 6:45.
About 5:30 in the morning, we got a phone call from his mother and dad.
My mother was there day and night.
1968, on November the 20th, the Farmington mine exploded and 78 miners lost their lives almost instantly. And it took 10 years of attempts to recover those who lost their lives in that tragedy. And unfortunately, 19 of those miners are still entombed at Farmington.
Morning in November, year of 68, a blast blew out Llewellyn, and the ground began to shake in the mine. Number 9.
Many of these families were fairly large. I've spoken to families that had many children at home still yet. The day that these miners left home, most of their wives did not work. They took care of large families and make sure the home was running well. The kids got off to school, had enough to eat, make sure everything was protected at home. So when these miners kissed their wives goodbye that day, these wives never had an idea that within 24 hours or less, for that matter, their lives would be turned upside down.
You know, we didn't have a dad, you know, to walk us down the aisle when we got married. We didn't, you know, when you had kids, Grandpa wasn't there to hold them. You know, when you had just get-togethers and picnics and things like that, Dad wasn't there. You know, and it was all unnecessary.
And for 9 days and nights, those fires went on to burn. And 10 mornings later, this news their families learned: they've sealed the mine. Number 9.
For them to get the news about what was going on from television or radio was inappropriate. They needed to know.
I remember the company store being, I think it was open, I'm almost certain, and some of the people went in there. Nobody from the company was there to let us know what happened. It was more word of mouth on, you know, the mines blew up and this one come out, and, you know, a few guys got out. So we're waiting and hoping that our loved ones would come out.
I didn't enjoy going down there. It was just a sad place to be, you know, waiting, seeing people, you know.
I think everybody knew the outcome, and most of the kids and the, you know, older kids knew what the outcome was going to be. Once you seal the mine, that's the end of the 78 men that's still trapped underground.
And in the year that followed, the survivors organized a team to find the bodies of their brothers where they lie in the mine. Number 9.
They was asking for volunteers. No information. 2 crews unaccounted for. So my cousin and I are standing there. I said, we'll go, just give us the light.
And the last day that I worked over there, we had ventilated the whole mines. We were real close to the Llewellyn shaft, and you didn't. That was 1974, and you didn't use. The rescue teams never went back.
And I think we should mention how remarkable these families were. They moved forward. Some of these widows became activists, did something they'd never done in their lives. They spoke out about what happened. They wouldn't let anyone forget about what happened. They wouldn't take, well, we need to move forward from here as an answer. They became lobbyists. They became spokespersons, and they became leaders in a movement that eventually led to the passage of the very first, by the way, Coal Mine Health and Safety Act that did anything, quite frankly, to protect miners.
A law was passed, a promise. They would not die in vain. A tragedy like Farmington would never be again. Like in the mine. Number 9.
There's a lot of different reasons that Farmington is still important today. I worked underground for 8 years in an underground coal mine, and there are plenty of times that I exercised my rights under the Act and that I used the Coal Mine Health and Safety Act to stay alive.
240 acres set aside, and a statue bears the names of the 78 who died in that mine. Number 9.
As long as the UMWA is in existence, which I believe will be for a long, long time, we will never stop honoring these men, and we will have this ceremony every year.
I have been to probably 25 to 30 of these myself, and every year, as opposed to the crowds becoming smaller, they seem to be getting larger because grandchildren and great-grandchildren and nieces, nephews, all want to go to where their family member perished and pay respect to them. In addition to that, today's miners, today's union members, they want to do the same thing. So I think I'd like to take a moment now and thank all of those family members, some of which have passed away. Many of the widows of the miners have passed away, but it was their activism that's made life better for coal miners today. And I want to thank everyone who has done anything to honor these miners on this 50th anniversary of this terrible tragedy.